I want you to hear all about our friend Cindy. She's amazing. So Cindy is an ATD master trainer, and she's the National Director of Learning and Development with Senior Lifestyle, and that's based in Chicago. She has a decade of experience in learning and development and has created comprehensive training programs for corporations as large as 80,000 people. Along with clear instructions and humor in her trainings, Cindy harnesses the power of storytelling to create engaging learning. Because connection is at the heart of what she does, Cindy has developed a mentor-style program within her national organization, and she is here today to speak to us about the science of human connection. Please join me in welcoming Cindy Ames.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was so nice. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be with you during our half hour that we have to spend together today. And I appreciate Vaughn, Karen, and Rebecca asking me to speak with you. And as she said, we're going to be talking today about reflections on connections and what that means to us. And so during our time together, I'm going to be sharing information on the value of connections and how they can impact you not only personally, but also professionally. And I'm going to be posing questions to you and asking you to answer those in our chat box. So if you don't have the chat box up, go ahead and bring it up. And then we'll also have opportunity to do a breakout session so you can make some connections during this virtual conference. So let's get started. And I want to share with you the basis for this talk or presentation has come from Matthew Lieberman's TEDx talk, The Social Brain and Its Superpower, and his book, Social, Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect. So if you'd like a little bit more information done and expand the amount of knowledge you have on this particular topic, I would definitely use him as a resource for you. All right, so I'd like to start us off with a story today. And the story takes place several years ago. And while working for full-time for a luxury tour operator, one of IATDG's tour directors was making about $75,000 a year in tips and salary, and he was working in exotic locations around the world. He had basically won the tour director lottery. All our friend needed to do was to be available from March to November, and he would be able to continue to work in the job that he loved and excelled at. But a problem arose. So our friend, his son was getting married, and the wedding was planned during the company's peak season. So the tour company couldn't spare the tour director, and the wedding date, which was planned around the bride and groom's work schedules, that couldn't be changed. So choosing to attend the wedding would cost our friend his job, and although he was very employable, in choosing the wedding, he would likely suffer a 50% cut in annual income for at least a year. So this tour director had a basic trade-off problem, one that kept him up for many nights. Should he prioritize his career or his relationships? And we'll get back to his story in a little bit later. Let's move on to discuss why connections are so important. Just as human beings have a basic need for food and shelter, we also have a basic need to connect with other humans and form relationships. If the coronavirus has taught us anything, it's that we're meant to connect. It's not optional. We need regular contact with other people, and we need to have that sense of belonging. So my first question for you is this, and you're going to write your answer in the chat box. During this time of quarantine, masks, and social unrest, how have you connected with others, with family, with friends? How do you connect? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat box, and we're going to talk about some of those. Via Zoom meetings, yes, FaceTime, social media, completely online. walking with friends, socially distanced walking. I do that also with my friends. Game boards, driveway cocktail hour. That sounds like a lot of fun. Hiking, walks, cell phones, outdoor dining. Yeah, some of you might be preparing that for Thanksgiving in California, and I don't know if it's everywhere. We've been asked to have our Thanksgiving dinner outside. Chess in the park, camping. All right, Zoom book club. Awesome. So there's a lot of ways and different ways that you guys have been able to connect and continue to connect with each other virtually so that you're safe. So let's take a look at where this need to connect comes from. One of the most exciting findings to emerge from neuroscience in recent years underlines the brain's inherently social nature. Neuroscientists have looked more closely at what the brain does during non-active moments when we're chilling out and the brain is at rest. They found out that every time we're not engaged in an active task, the brain falls into a neural configuration that's called the default network. Now, when you have downtime, even if it's just for a second, this brain system comes on automatically. The default network directs us to think about other people's minds, their thoughts and their feelings. The brain has an automatic reflex to go social. And I think that's very interesting. But what does that mean? How do we apply it? So evolution has made a bet that the best thing for our brain to do in any spare moment is to get ready for what comes next in social moments. Evolution only makes a bet if there are payoffs. And when it comes to being social, there are so many benefits. In fact, having strong social bonds is as good for you as quitting smoking. Connecting with people, even the most basic ways, helps to make you happier, especially when you know you're helping people. So let's take a look at this question. How has having a social network helped you now or in the past? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat box. How has having a social network helped you in any way? Keeps me happy. Job referrals, increases joy. Moral support, keeps me sane and happy. I love that. Acquiring work, have a sense of who I am. Support, a lot of laughter and joy. Emotional support when things go sideways, absolutely. Keeps me connected, Bab says. Let's see, share anxiety, Barbara says. John says, keeps me away from the chores. I like that one. Julie, belonging. Let's see, connected to my community and joy, Geiler says. Rachel says, common experience. I love that. Michelle says, takes me to another part of the world. So social connections and having that social network really gives you a lot of different things, and it really helps with your happiness. Now, next, I think this is a very interesting concept. Genuine happiness also correlates with our degree of social connection. And researchers have taken a look at what makes some people exceptionally happy. And it's not a diet or exercise, it's not spiritual life, it's not good fortune, it's none of these. In one study, what was different about the upper 10% of consistently happy participants is that they cultivated stronger social relationships or connections. And you can write that down. Developing stronger social connections is what's going to lend you to happier feelings. So when you think about it, okay, stronger social connections, what kind of connections count here? Well, the life-giving nature of social connections comes in many forms, and that's the good news. It doesn't require close, intimate relationship or even tight-knit, supportive friend group, because some of us might not have that. We can get our social needs met through different degrees of familiarity and various levels of intimacy. Jane Dutton, who's a psychology professor and happiness researcher at the University of Michigan, wrote that her favorite happiness project, or practice I should say, is to be alert to high quality connections, which are regular day-to-day encounters, the kind that we miss so much during our collective social distancing. They can be brief and routine, and they can involve complete strangers. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So what makes some encounters high quality and others forgettable? It's noticing them. That's simple, you guys. It's just noticing them. It's our degree of conscious awareness that makes the difference. So in other words, it's less important what we do or how much we do it, but that we're there, present for it. It's like the raffle where you have to be present in order to win. So let me give you an example. Michelle Craig from Salt Lake City, she recently resolved to put her phone away whenever she was waiting in line in an attempt to connect more with her fellow human beings. So immediately after making this resolution, she stood behind an elderly gentleman in the market, and she, sorry, I flipped too quickly on my page. She saw, it looked in his cart and saw, oh, you must have a cat, because she saw a bunch of cat food in the cart. So they visited briefly about a storm that was coming their way, and before checking out, the elderly man said, you know, I haven't told anyone this, but it's my birthday today. They made that connection, and he shared that piece of him with her. Both Michelle and her friend were present, and they both won the raffle that day. So think about the role you play professionally to cause greater social impact in your lives and the lives of those that you work with, who you work with. Let's discuss how you can make higher quality connections. And remember, a higher quality connection can be a simple interaction with a stranger, or like you do, someone you just met, and you meet new people routinely in your role. So what makes it a high quality connection is your intention. So just remember that piece. It's your intention, it's noticing it. And you show up with that intent to connect. So the question is, how can you apply that approach in your role? So let's discuss that while you have the opportunity to make some connections with others at the conference. So you're going to be assigned a breakout room in just a minute. And while there, I want you to generate and share ideas for making intentional connections in your particular role. Because we have a lot of folks here at the conference that have a variety of roles. So we'll get a variety of different ways to do this. You should walk away with a variety of ideas, which is awesome. Feel free to take notes during the discussion so you can apply those moving forward. And when you get back, I want you to share one idea that you heard or you came up with that was significant to you, so we can be aware of some of those ideas. So you're going to be randomly assigned rooms. So what I want you to do is speak in alphabetical order. So the person whose name starts with A or whose name is closest to A will start the conversation. We'll go to B, C, D. We should have about 4 people in each room, and you're going to have 3 minutes to chat in that room. And then when we get back, we're going to talk about it. So Rebecca, if you want to go ahead and open up the rooms and have everybody go inside. All right, so as you're coming back in, if you want to go into the chat box and write down in the chat box, what is an idea that you have for connecting, intentional connecting within your role? Okay, as you're coming back, go ahead and put in your chat box your best idea for intentionally connecting with others in your role. Denise says, using the conference to connect with all the TDs that work for my company for starters. Absolutely. Love that, Denise. That's a nice thing about a conference, the ability to connect with more people. I like what Cynthia said, listen more and talk less. Absolutely. When we ask questions and we are in a listening mode, we're very much able to connect with people. Sharing kills mutual misery through humor. Yeah, Wayne, I get that. Give them a compliment, Simone. Yes, that's wonderful. Ask why they're here in this particular tour. Yes, finding out their story, Ronald. Everybody has a story, and when we can find out what the story, that's fabulous. All right, so thank you for all those shares, you guys. I appreciate that very much. The question is, how are you going to go about applying these concepts moving forward? You know, if you get a chance, write down your thoughts so you can reflect on how to make greater connections with those you work with and those you socialize with moving forward. Because truly, the best experiences are ones when we can connect with other people. And last, if you remember the story I started with about our tour director, how to make the choice of family or career, I'm happy to share that he saw the value of connection. I was in a financial position to choose family and attended his son's wedding with no regrets. So thank you for this time. I appreciate being with you, being in the same space, and hopefully we'll be able to connect with you at another time. So thank you, everybody.